All right, we're back for installment two of the getting back up to speed after the large rally and subsequent decline. So we were just talking about needing a wave four, and that is Elliott wave speak. We won't really be covering a lot of Elliott wave all the time. We just went over a nice example of some really basic stuff. But Elliott wave is pretty confusing. Don't really suggest that anyone start there. There are other methods that are more useful early on, much easier to learn. Let Elliott Wave be an awesome tool that you pick up at least later on in your educational battle with technical analysis. Elliott Wave, however, is extremely powerful, and I will say that it'll just give you a tool to go beyond what most people can do. Even if you learn about Elliott Wave, most of the time, I believe the practitioners are not as effective as they would like to be. I have personally altered the Elliott Wave rules to make it more useful for me. So I still give credit to it being Elliott Wave in sort of basis, but I sometimes also refer to it as harmonic wave. There are lots of things that I will refer to as harmonic, but in order to differentiate the different rule set that I use for what a lot of people would believe or might call Elliott wave, it's significantly different. And on other videos, I'll be happy to go into what I believe fixes the problems of Elliott wave. They're very simple, but that's for a different video. But anyhow, um, the wave 4 pattern is what we will be in, what we have been in for about a month, and we may continue to be in it for as much as another month. So let's take a look at what that is and how it plays out. So in general, I'm going to take a little step back here so we can take a look at the size of this move here. We're talking about sweeping from approximately 14,000 down to 9 or so. That's about 5,000 point swings. So maybe 4 or 5 down, 4 or 5 up, 4 or 5 down, 4 or 5 up, 4 or 5 down. You do a nice successful job of picking this up, and it'll be 20,000. And it wasn't a once in a lifetime event the way you might have had to wait for, say a lifetime event, something like this. You can also produce 20,000 in large sweeping wave 4. So I say the wave 4 is one of the most difficult waves to trade, but when you get it right, it is the most profitable wave. It's much more exciting than trying to catch one of these runaway waves. Why is it more exciting? Because you can actually do it. Catching these runaway waves, most of the time the profits will close themselves out. You won't be able to keep the position running. It'll just be too much money in too little amount of time. And it is unfortunately very difficult to tell how long something will extend. So a lot of times it is harder under at least my system to capture those runaway profits. But the sweeping profits, like the ones that we're in now, are much more achievable for the basic trader. They're not super complex. They're very predictable. Many people believe that the wave 4 pattern usually is not volatile enough for them to profit from the move. They need something like a runaway bull move, and these overlapping waves just they're not enough for them. But that's really code for them being unable to identify where the highs and lows are. They can't be accurate enough, and so this is what keeps them from being able to profit from this. So we don't have that problem. I mean, quite frankly, that has never been a problem. We always know where the prices pretty much are going to attempt to stop, stall, and turn around. So we can see it coming just from a mile away. sometimes these things happen very, very, very quickly. And so if you're, golfing perhaps, or maybe hanging out with, family, or doing another small business, or, whatever it may be, you may not be able to move quickly enough. But if you were looking, it would not sneak up on you. The market moves fast. That's just the way it is. If you're going to make money and you're going to trade, you better adjust your schedule. I mean, this is like a job. You can't really expect to make $300,000 in a year and just think that, hey, I'm not going to put a lot of effort in it. I mean, 300,000 one year, 500 the next, could be 800 the next. I mean, who knows? It's really difficult to say that the volatility of the market will always help us out. Obviously, we're super volatile now, so that's really helpful. But anyway, gotta put a lot of time into it. So anyway, moving on. So let's get back into a real up close and tight representation of the current market. Interestingly enough, I think some of my positions just got picked up. That's fantastic. Very happy about that. You can see HFT flash just hit. We're going to get to this video that we need to proceed through. Get to this here in just a second. Let's see here. There we go. All right, so we are in the large wave 4, and we're projecting price targets here in this area. The top of the red reflection box is this large red channel from here to here, reflecting here, from here to here and here. So our targets here easily, safely, without needing to be too extreme. We should be selling into 1276 or 12,076. Something like that is safe money. We kind of expect perhaps to get up here, come back down here. And then here it's going to get a little tricky. Are we going to load up in order to break out? Is that what's going to happen there? Or will it be weak? Will the entire thing just sort of weaken out little by little? And we're going to need this, extreme support from the very end, before we maybe start taking off. Who knows? It's just too far out. It's not really necessary. We don't really need to think about that. But we do have some upper end targets here around 12,076. And then, of course, value pricing is down here in the 10.3 area. We would probably consider that deep discount that you probably, pretty tough to see, at least anytime soon. If we get this deep retracement, we may see it then, but I don't think we're going to see it now. But if we did, actually, I'll rephrase that. There's a good 50-50 chance that we see it here. I think we'll probably come up a little short. But if you see 10-3-2-1, have orders there, be ready to go. You can see the reflection here, the reflection slope. Very important. We expect to get very, very, very close to it. So we can see we have some sideways action to fill. And then it'll probably actually kind of just gently push us higher and, eventually land us over here. I expect to see a little HFT come in and try to, fake this out a little bit. But if I don't see a bunch of trading activity that, say, for example, stalls along the way and then perhaps starts, flirting with this line and start coiling around it like this, this would be very, very, very bad. This would indicate that we're about to take out, the low. So that's what we'll be looking for that. We're gonna go ahead and turn this red, kind of highlight what no good path may look like. There we go. So particle line price here. Not an exact science here, but about we'll call it 10.3. I'm gonna map that out one more time and put it right here, 10.3. So 10.3, that's like your manual stop. If you start coiling around 10.3, now of course this may happen right here, but I doubt it. I think we're going to rally, and later on we may get a little problem. But anywhere you go about it, buy into 10.3. If you can't get away from 10.3 and it's not an immediate buy, if it's not an immediate buy and it does not just take off like a rocket, and you start coiling around it, you need to manually stop yourself out and step back and then watch and see if it drops. And if it does, you'll have to wait. You could get, it would just be bad if that happened. Let's just leave it at that. It would be bad. We needed to rally now. We don't need coiling. We don't need to see prices too much below 10.3. A couple of HFT peaks like this, no big deal. A couple peaks through, big deal. But if we start seeing just slow grinding trading activity, this will be bad. So we are basically heading higher. Let's take a closer look at what that looks like here. We're going to kind of soften the blow for young eyes. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of these internal micro frames. Alrighty, so these arrows, just ignore them. These are a bunch of just various possible sell targets I had up here. They're not that important right now. Right now we are moving back toward the orange box. This is where we're moving toward, and this is where we came from. Creepy. And here would be that orange channel if we were to map it out. All right. So you can see we have remained inside the channel the whole time. We've remained inside of it. We haven't actually slipped out of it. So this is one of the reasons why we had to do some buying here a little bit, kind of soon-ish. Because, well, it may not even break down. It may not even get down here. How likely is this? This is a real, 50-50 between whether or not it breaks through now and then never comes back and goes crazy, or maybe it dips out and then needs to come back and test, all manner of particle line. There is even a couple scenarios that get this thing, a little bit lower. So a couple different possibilities here, but we're here. We want to be ready for both of them, so we can be picking up here, and right now we could be picking up right now. I've already picked up some orders. We've been discussing this as well. This is 10.530 or so, 10.5, call it 10.5. And then if we want to know where our sell targets are for the next round, man, they could be anywhere up here. I mean, you wouldn't really be greedy. I mean, you could be kind of greedy at 12.3, but it's logical. You probably want to at least put one hitch in there and try to make the possibility of winning twice work for you. This particle line here, 12.021, probably pretty good. A lot of different places where you could catch a pop here, and if it reloaded and you hit it twice, I mean, you'd be in it. And those are pro moves, but they're easy. I mean, they're pro moves because it takes balls to try to do it. It takes calm, cool, collected thought processes to achieve these things and hit your targets and hit your goals. So, if that's not your strong suit, then just wait for the whole run or sell as you go up, which never hurts anybody. So to all my associates and friends that aren't able to get in there with the speed of Superman, then just sell a little bit all the way through and begin your selling, as we always say, at the half frame line, which is 11.7. So be selling all into this. Let's kind of try to set these in, I don't know, some kind of, well, actually probably like this, some kind of logical possible timing type order. There we go. So let's get in a little bit tighter, and well, here we are. So the upward trend channel we were moving in for the last 24 hours was in white. Had a huge throw over. You can see HFT written all over this. Someone just pumped it up, let it drift, and just pumped it right back down, and just can't go anywhere. There's just no follow through. No one wants to sell, and this has been going on, for the last 3 or 4 days. You can see what selling looks like. When they hit it, it continues. When they hit it, it continues. When they hit it and it can't continue lower, well, that's what a trend reversal looks like. So when it explodes 3 times larger to the upside than any of the down candles, well, that's what uptrend looks like. So we had a trend reversal down here, and you can see over and over and over they are so desperately trying to make some money out of this, and and just hit these things as hard as they can with whatever little money they might have saved up. But everyone just comes in and buys it. In fact, here's a pretty large order that came around and bought. Might have even been them. They might have actually said, "Oh, that didn't work," and then maybe somebody else had a different program and they hit it lower and whatever. It's just not working out. They keep trying to hit it, and then of course here's a bunch of stop losses getting hit. This people trying to go short, and then they just have to kind of liquidate those positions real quickly, and a bunch of market orders hit, and well, that's what you get. And then they try to hit it again. They just couldn't get much follow through here. So we wouldn't be surprised if they can't get out of this orange channel. This is that orange channel. We wouldn't be surprised. We got this moving average that is just cupping this entire move and ready to put upward pressure. We've got the downward slope line. Man, I'm telling you, once this thing cracks, oh baby, buy some more. You're going to get a powerful, powerful rally. I believe we're going to see a powerful rally here coming up pretty soon. Now I do want to deviate for just a second to describe a situation that, this is the way technical analysis is, but if we switch over to Litecoin, don't talk about Litecoin much, but Litecoin fell outside of its long-term rising trend channel, and Litecoin's been leading, and so that's never good. And so you can see it here. You can see it's cutting up and underneath the entire bull market channel. Now there is a way for this to resolve itself, and it's not impossible, but man, it looks bad. Like, this is the thing that this chart here really bugs me, because to fix this, basically it still needs to roll over here some kind of little way. Even if it's going to get fixed, it could be really quick, and then it re-enters, and then it just climbs like a bat out of hell, and then slows here. So this scenario here it's bold. It's real bold. I'm not going to say that it isn't going to happen. I hope that it does. It kind of, my thesis kind of needs for this to happen. We'll see. It's tough to say. We did just catch this gigantic moving average. It could be pretty powerful. I mean, look at that thing, just boom. So I mean, maybe, but I wish it wasn't below this trend channel. And it's not just here. When you go over to EOS, you're going to see a similar pattern. Let's back out of EOS, and you'll see the same thing. And so these guys have got to get back in their channel. So you can see EOS has just dramatically lost its entire bull run. When it did, man, they hit it so hard. So I mean, yeah, I can see a rally. Both of them have some room to rally, but the long-term prospects have got to deal with these enormous particle lines. I mean, this is a big particle line. I mean, the idea that you're just going to run up there, it is going to be no big deal. I mean, that's kind of hard to swallow. By the time this market, if it eventually rallies and comes up here, it's going to want to come back down. So that has to be resolved. It can re-enter that channel. It does not have to necessarily stay underneath that particle line. The variation of this would get to the particle line, fade back, perhaps the first time, or maybe actually go through it the first time. You never know, but eventually it does go through it, and then it begins to coil around it. And as it does, that becomes a real signal, and you might get a little bluff fake out here, but if you start seeing the coiling around it, it's just going to pass back through. And this is the end of a 3-wave and a beginning of a 5, and the wave 2 just has a different shape here. The wave 2 ends up not being very steep. It ends up being a very familiar pattern which everybody sees. And so this is common. But let's map this out, because I think we're really starting to cover a little bit of ground on some of these Elliott wave patterns, and it's time to bring them into the discussion a little bit, because they're just so visually easy. So this is what that would look like. So this is what that would look like when we talked about the 5-wave climbing Elliott wave pattern. This is like 1, 2, 3, and then it'd be 4 and 5, and a lot of detail in here. So anyhow, that's EOS. XRP is pretty much turned into EOS. It's the almost exact same chart, but that's outside the scope of this discussion. And then long-term ETH play, you can kind of see same story there. It is fallen outside of its trend channel. Let me see if we can pull in some whitey white there. So there's its lifetime. Oh, I'm sorry, totally misspoke. It's fallen outside of its most recent leg, but it's actually just regained support from the bottom of its channel. So ETH here portends to have seen the worst, and it's aligned with Bitcoin, whereas EOS and Litecoin have to do some pretty extraordinary things. But anyway, outside the scope of this discussion. So just to kind of wrap things up, we are looking for, here's the super zoomed in version, just looking at a couple hours of data here. We're looking for this thing to basically hope to bottom somewhere around here and begin taking off and push up closer into this region here by the next day or two. Our stop loss for the move right now is somewhere around 10,334. We get a little bit nervous. We get real nervous if we get below the red upward slope line here. And we are horrible under 10,000. Under 10,000, we are bailing out fast. So let's go ahead and just put this here. There's a particle line here at like 1038. I'm going to turn this red. Alrighty. Well, that is the news for now. Be buying into any dips. Be buying now. Take the dips down. Don't go all the way to 10,000. Hope that sucker takes off and start making sells, around this area here, and we'll stay tuned and see what happens.